Okay, I'll start letting folks in. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome everyone. How you doing? Good to see you all again. Hope you had a nice night of rest last night. I feel like for me, I think I had actually my first good day of sleep in a bit. Everything's gotten all planned and put together. Now we can just do the convention. So I got a little extra sleep last night. That's good. So here with us right now, I'll just make sure and let a few other people stream in. We are live on Facebook and YouTube for about 10 minutes just to let people know what we're up to, and we'll send a link on there if people want to join the convention. And but for now, we have Debbie Sear with us. And hey there, it's really good to see you here. This is I feel like when I first started this project, I don't know if you remember, Debbie, I talked to you probably back in like 2017. We were at some Northeast conference or something, and I was chatting with you about, yeah. And, but it's funny because at the time it's like, there was no pandemic, there was nothing, you were just teaching organic, classes and to real people in real life. And yeah, I think it was difficult to get away to do something like this. So I think in some ways we have a privilege because, you've been spending the past several months getting used to being online to teach classes on Zoom and things like that. And so we're just very excited to have you and be a part of this. I'm going to give a quick introduction to you and your class, and then I'll let you run. So Debbie Sears is a 30-year veteran, PTG member of note, and examiner of the year. North Bennett Street alumna and current instructor, Debbie Sears is an esteemed educator within the piano industry. He's also a respected rebuilder who studied with Yamaha and Steinway and published articles that serve the community of piano industry pros. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff I could mention. But I'll go into a little brief description she gave me of the class, the Grand Rebuilding Teardown. So basically, before you take everything apart, you want to make sure you're organized so you can remember how to put everything back together. There's a teardown sheet for recording measurements and notations for the process of reassembly. I'll be sharing documents that she shared with me. I'll share a link during the session here. This class is a step-by-step procedure for disassembling the piano before starting the rebuilding process. We'll discuss a variety of ways to organize measurements, materials, and thoughts in the teardown process. So that's our basic description of what's going on, but let's check in with Debbie for the details. Welcome, Debbie.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Hello from frosty Boston. Had a good layer of frost on the cars this morning.
Nice.
Thanks, Ethan, for setting this all up. Like you said, we had talked about this, probably in 17. I think you might have that right, about doing something like this, and it seemed a little bit far-fetched, but not so far-fetched, and here we are. Thanks for putting it all together.
Sure, we're doing it. And of course, thanks to North Bennett Street for jumping on and sponsoring this convention as well. It's exciting to partner with North Bennett Street.
Yeah, and we're excited too. We have our advanced piano technology students joining in. Hi to all you guys and the instructor as well. So exciting, it's great. All right, I'm Debbie, I'm an instructor. I'm also the department head at the piano technology department at North Bennett Street School. Just a few words before I get started about North Bennett Street. North Bennett Street, for those of you that don't know, was the first vocational training school in the United States when it got started in 1885. Today we have 9 programs: bookbinding, jewelry making, locksmithing, violin making, carpentry, preservation carpentry, cabinet and furniture making, and then the 2 pieces of piano technology: basic piano technology, which focuses on learning aural tuning, along with basic in-home repairs and regulation. There's also a component of business classes, because we all know that knowing how to tune is one thing, knowing how to establish and run your business is an entirely different thing. Advanced piano technology focuses on the complete rebuilding of grand pianos, along with in-home service and continued oral tuning. Just a note, if anyone is interested, next week North Bennett Street is having its annual open house on December 14, 15, and 16, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's virtual, of course, with department tours and interviews of instructors and students. Instructors and students are in person at the school. So you will be talking to actual people in the departments. The piano department open house is on Tuesday, December 15. You can find the schedule online at nbss.edu. And if anyone is considering applying to North Bennett Street, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. And an exciting piece of information, North Bennett Street will be awarding $1 million in scholarships for this next year's class. That's for under 200 students total enrollment. I think it's like 160 or 170 students. It's a great time to consider it. My spiel is done, so let's get down to business. Let me share my screen.
I want to ask you real quick, Debbie, is there some sort of a link where people can sort of register to attend that?
The open house?
The open house, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I don't have it right on me, but I'm sure it's on the website.
I'll look for it during the session too and see if I can provide it.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Yep. All right. This might look familiar to a few of you. This is not so different from what we usually see when we start the teardown process, right? It's beat up, it's dead, it's past its prime. And this is what we want to get to. It looks brand new. It's been completely rebuilt. And how to get from one to the other is what this class is about. Not how, but how to take the measurements to do that. Before you take anything apart, make sure you'll remember how to put everything back correctly. This class is a step-by-step procedure for disassembling and recording measurements in the piano. Having some kind of standard form is best. It'll be your constant roadmap from rebuild to rebuild. Here we have an old Word doc that was originally a typewritten and mimeoed template. I'm not sure how many of you even know what those words are, typewritten and mimeoed. And then eventually I put it on the computer as a Word doc. And Lewis, who is now the advanced piano technology instructor, has taken it even further, brought it even more up to date. But it's all the same basic information. You will get a link. Ethan will make sure that you get a link so that you can have this form. It's a 4-page document that you can record all your measurements on.
Or I will send you a mimeograph in the mail.
There you go.
We'll see whichever.
Nowadays, Excel also works well for doing this. And if you're in Excel, you can have tabs at the bottom. Here's the teardown sheet, that 4-page sheet. That's a Word doc. You can also have a hardware checklist, your plain wire, your bass strings, your work done, your rib measurements. And we'll go a little bit more into that towards the end of the class. But you'll also get access to that form also. So, and this form is the one that has all the different checklists on it. Here we have a combination of both of those. It's a binder with tabbed folders. And this is something like what Lewis is using. So we've got the case, you've got the action, board and bridges, plate and pin blocks, stringing, work done, with folders to put your notes in. No matter which way you do it, just do it and be consistent about it. You can always update your forms as you go along, add things, subtract things, and when the piano is completed, keep that file. You'll be surprised how often you need to go back to it to see what size tuning pins you put in this piano, to see what parts you put on, what finish you applied. It's the historical record for that piano. You really should consider keeping it. So here you have the two different forms we just saw. There's a digital one here, if you want to keep your records digitally. And take pictures. We all have a camera in our pockets all the time. Most of the time, it's not even in the pocket, it's in your hands. Take pictures to add to your files. And the case, base, the bench, legs, lyre, trap levers, lid, case sides, anything that looks suspicious or funny or not quite right. Top section, the inner rim, before and after, the action, before and after, key tops, the damper system, and anything unusual. The pictures, you can never take enough pictures. You could have a whole pile of pictures, and the one you really need is the one you didn't take. No matter which way you record the info, you'll need to have this info from the start. This one is old school, before computers. We would need to add email and cell phone on here, but the client's information, the date that it moved in, who the movers were, the date that the client expects it back if there's such a date, the date that it actually moved out, and who the movers were that moved it out. The information on the piano, just the basic information, and who's working on the piano. At school, we need to list who the students are that are working on the piano. If you're a one-man shop, then you really don't need that. And it's not a bad idea to have a picture file that starts with this right here. This piece with all this information, a picture of the fallboard decal that shows, as long as it's correct, that shows what piano you're looking at, and this piece here that shows the serial number and the model. This should be the first picture in that file for this piano, and just identifies this whole piano. The next section, and all these sections up here are all part of that form. They're all the little sections of that form. Disassemble and label the case parts. Note any missing parts. Is the lid there? Sometimes, most of the time, if it's coming in for a rebuild and it's not getting refinished, I don't want that lid kicking around the shop. I try to get the movers and the client to keep the lid at the client's house. Same thing with the bench. I don't need an extra bench in my shop. I find that if there's 2 benches, they multiply. The next time I come in, there's 3, and then there's 4. We got a pile of benches that ended up never going back with the piano, or dead benches that should be tossed out. I don't need the lid. I don't need the bench. Do I need the action? If I'm doing action work, yes, I need the action. Sometimes another technician is doing the action work. Sometimes there's no action work. I don't like to keep the action at the customer's house. That's a little bit different than keeping the lid there. The action has a lot of moving and breakable parts. Unless the customer has a safe place to put the action, I can store it more safely than they can in a lot of cases. The music desk. Is there a music desk? It's a little bit head scratching at the end when you start to put things together and you didn't mark whether there's a music desk and you can't find it, right? The lyre. Do you have the lyre? Do you have the lyre sticks? Are there lid hinges? Are there hinge pins? A lot of times the movers put those in their pocket and they forget to take them out. Is there a sostenuto? Sometimes another rebuilder got in there, or another technician got in there, removed the sostenuto, and then you're looking for days for where you put that sostenuto rail. If you mark